Hey guys, Evan here from 3x3 Insights, and welcome to a very special episode of Retail Untapped. We're here at Athletic Brewing in Stratford, Connecticut with founder Bill Shufelt to discuss the revolution in non-alcoholic craft beer that Bill and team are pioneering here at their state-of-the-art facility. Bill, thanks so much for joining us on Retail Untapped.
Awesome, psyched to have you here.
So let's start off with the Athletic Brewing / Bill Shufelt story. Before Athletic, you were working a job in the finance industry. So what convinced you to leave your job and become the founder of a non-alcoholic brewery?
Yeah, it's a very legit question. I had a very stable, intellectually rewarding job. Loved the firm I was at for 12 years in the financial world. Athletic Brewing really emerged out of an authentic, natural pain point in my lifestyle. As I was turning 30, I was about 6 months from getting married. I was upgrading my health and fitness lifestyle, starting to monitor everything I ate, organic foods. I was starting to run endurance events on the weekend. And there's one element that was really inconsistent with all that, and that was nights with alcohol that were unproductive would carry over a couple days. I'd be missing workouts. I was off my game at work, and I decided to change that. And when I cut alcohol out of my life, it was a real pain point that I missed good craft beer. There was nothing to have with meals, nothing to have socially, nothing at family barbecues or anything. So I started to tinker, read textbooks, think about if it's possible. It was crazy. I never ever would have thought I'd start my own business, especially in food. And if you told me it was going to be non-alcoholic beer 10 years ago, I would have gotten a great laugh out of it.
So it sounds like the origins of Athletic are pretty personal, but how did you realize that the market also wanted non-alcoholic beer? Did you do any market research ahead of time that really factored into your decision making?
For sure, tons. With my background in finance, I kind of love diving into Excel from time to time. And yeah, the company did originate from an authentic need in my lifestyle. But the more I shared with people I knew and trusted or shared similar lifestyles with, the anecdotal and qualitative evidence was pretty overwhelming. And it turns out the non-alcoholic market is already well established and huge in Europe. In some countries like Germany and Spain, it's 15% of the overall beer market. Wow. Where in the US, it's currently 0.3 to 0.5%, depending on which numbers you use and on and off premise, but it is one of the fastest growing segments in the US. Over 50% of people I surveyed said they didn't drink non-alcoholic beer because of quality and stigma, which that's a totally different conversation than does it fit in my life.
Right.
So I knew there was a receptive audience out there, and 40% of adults don't drink in the US. So that's a market the beer world was currently missing. So I kind of aggregated all those data points and thought, this is not only a chance to have a huge positive impact, but also real economic opportunity as well.
Definitely.
And that's what got me excited, was the positive impact, but it's nice to know there are strong economics to back it up.
Playing off that idea of stigma, to paraphrase a line from your website, non-alcoholic beers have been the butt of many jokes for a lot of decades. So how do you think consumption patterns have changed, and how fast do you really think they are changing? So much has been written about the low to no alcohol wave over the last year that it can be kind of hard to sift through speculation and extract a true growth rate for the category.
The non-alcoholic beverage world in total is over $300 billion. The beer world itself is $110 billion. So any piece of that pie that you carve out, there are whole categories the size of like cold brew coffee or coconut water that you could, in theory, add to the beer world.
Right.
And that's really our goal. We're not a soapbox company. We're just looking to add occasions that are healthy to the drinking world and have a positive impact. And that US market, it's not only the traditional non-alcoholic consumer groups, which is small, but it's real. They're great fans and community members. But among Gen Z and millennials, 55% of people, according to Bank of America, 66% according to Nielsen, are looking to reduce their drinking. And that's already with 40% of adults not drinking already. So there's a growing and increasingly portion of the market that the beer world's missing at the moment. Nowhere else in the grocery store has there been no innovation in 30 years. And there's a whole group of adults looking for high quality options with interesting recipe profiles, high quality ingredients that are consistent with modern standards.
Back in June, NPR reported that your double hop IPA sold out in 32 seconds on your website. So I'm wondering what you think is key to Athletic success, because you're really out at the forefront of this whole movement. Do you think it's killer strategy, killer beer, right time, right place, or some combination of all of those factors?
It's definitely a combination of all of them, and the community is awesome that you referenced. It's growing, and they're super interactive with us, and it's so fun to give them beers like Double Hop that they love.
Yeah.
That really all goes back to our co-founder, John, who is super talented, and his eyes on this category and his recipe talent are unlike anything the non-alcoholic beer world has ever had in its midst. So I think it all starts with quality of product and just blowing out misconceptions of the category. But then it's really also about like unique delivery systems also. We have some great distribution partners who are really fired up about what we're doing, and it's beer occasions they've never been able to sell into. So we're going super deep in our backyard, but then we have a unique delivery system where we ship beer nationwide online, and so at a much thinner level, we can reach our customers nationwide. So it's essentially like a nationwide tap room where we interact directly with customers and send them beer in under 5 days nationwide.
As we've talked about, there's been so much attention around the low to no alcohol trend over the last year and the impact of wellness on people's drinking habits. Are you at all concerned that some of the bigger players might try to enter the non-alcoholic space and start competing for share sometime soon?
No, we actually totally the opposite. We welcome them coming into the space. We're all about, we want to have a positive impact and help people live healthier, more moderate lives. And the bigger the companies coming in alongside us, I think the more it's going to knock down the stigmas in the category, make it socially acceptable, widely available. I mean, we're just one craft brewer. We can't get our beer to everyone who wants it, like both nationally and internationally. So it's been great to have launches like Heineken 0.0 bring some attention on the category. And we're also totally complementary beverages too. Like Heineken 0.0, it's a great lager, but we are a range of premium craft beers on the shelf next to that cover all different varieties of ales and double IPAs, golden ales, and stuff like that.
What kind of consumers is Athletic targeting, and what does your customer base look like today, and who are you trying to expand to tomorrow?
So it's really interesting, and this is something we were worried about, was the non-alcoholic category. People always think of it as older or like drinking it for medical reasons, and actually on our data, 81% of our customers are 25 to 44, with the average customer being in the low 30s, which has blown our mind. And it's fairly evenly split on a gender basis also, like close to 55-45, which I think that's also kind of unheard of in the beer world, where it's usually much more heavily weighted towards men. And beer marketing has always been that too. We're trying to be all inclusive of everyone and have very gender neutral participatory sports. We sell a ton of beer in grocery chains. And so that really speaks in our actual numbers too. So
a lot of our viewers are liquor store owners all across the country. So what's your message for them? How should they be thinking about Athletic in their store? How should they be thinking about non-alcoholic products in general?
Yeah, we're very lucky to have some incredible retail partners right from the jump who totally got our idea, talked to customers about it, and they were rewarded right off the bat with some really high sales numbers, which is great. I think that is kind of what it's all about, is an open mind to new categories, and then seeing what customers are buying, and then like people who buy alcoholic, healthier beers that aren't necessarily the most flavorful. Those are great selling opportunities to not only sell people their Saturday beer, but they could sell them a beer for 7 days of the week then, which we've seen a lot of crossover from those type of like healthy, active marketed beers. And then also like for more on-premise, like if we're on the menu and people know there's a better non-alcoholic beer available, it turns 5 or 6 times the velocity as just the classic hidden non-alcoholic shameful beer down there. But yeah, it's really all about open mind and just like not hiding the beer, being proud of it. And people who build end caps sell like 30 cases a month and like really high numbers, so it's cool. As a baseline, we like to be on the non-alcoholic beer shelf. People know where to find us there. They don't get confused that it's alcoholic. It doesn't get buried in the craft shelf. It stands out on its own for quality there. But also in terms of food pairings, we've had some retailers move us around the shop, and at different places like the salsa aisle, the pretzels aisle, like it pairs really well on like say football occasions with that type of stuff. Right. Near barbecue food, like people are often trying to have beverages that are inclusive to their whole party, and that is a great way to pair with that. Also, we're made from all organic grains, so it tends to be like healthier, active shoppers. So like we sell really well at natural chain grocery also.
Does Athletic have any plans to extend beyond non-alcoholic beer, whether that means low alcohol, alcohol, or even other categories?
Just the way we arrived at our company and our products, we're always R&Ding different things. We have a few different size pilot systems in the back, so we have some exciting diversions potentially that we already know how to make a few different things. Just there's so much demand in the base business that we don't want to get distracted at the moment, but there's a lot of things our customers ask for and are very parallel to what we're currently doing. But yeah, I think you'll see some exciting stuff from us in the next 6 months.
Great. So to wrap up, there's so much going on in our industry right now between cannabis being on the cusp of legalization in so many states, wellness trends really affecting consumption patterns for beer, wine, and spirits. How do you see all of these developing trends colliding and combining and intersecting in the near future?
For so long, beer has been fighting for the same occasions, while spirits and wine have maybe been migrating and exploring new occasion bases.
Right.
Or cannabis has been taking beer occasions. I think just all of a sudden, because the growth dynamic has slowed a bit, beer is starting to look in other directions, and that's great because there's so many categories it could go into. And I think you named a few there, like wellness for sure. I think brands like ours and Sufferfest are on the forefront of the wellness beer category. But I think there's so much more around there too that, it's just like we talked about before, there's so many populations the beer world's currently missing. So it's going to make me sound overly positive, but I do think craft beer might have double-digit growth years ahead, just as they unlock totally new customer groups. There's so many people the beer world's missing, so it's really exciting out there.
So that's all we have time for today. Thanks for joining us on this very special episode of Retail Untapped. Bill, any parting words before we wrap up?
Not really. Exciting to have you down to talk non-alcoholic beer. It's something that I think is quickly going from an afterthought to the spotlight for people. So cheers.
Definitely.
Thanks for having me down.
Thanks, Bill.